The church had never felt this quiet before. Even though it was full, sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows, breaking into shards of red, blue, and gold that trembled across the wooden pews. The air smelled of candle wax and old wood, heavy with breath held too long. Every eye was fixed on the same place, on the man and woman standing near the altar, frozen as if the world had stopped moving around them. She stood stiff in his arms, her body thin, her dress worn and pale, as if it had been washed too many times with too little hope. Her eyes were swollen, not from crying alone but from days, no, years, of carrying pain without rest. She looked straight ahead, not at the cross, not at the priest, but at something far beyond the walls of the church, as if her soul had already started to leave her body. The man beside her held her tightly, one arm wrapped around her shoulders, the other steadying her as though he feared she might collapse if he let go for even a second. A white bandage circled his head, stained faintly at the edges. His jacket was old, his face tired, but his eyes were sharp with a desperate kind of love, the kind that had been tested too many times and refused to die anyway. "Lord, please," a woman cried out from the front pew, her hands raised high, her voice cracking the silence. "Please don't take her." Others followed. Gasps, murmurs, hands lifted in prayer. The priest behind the altar had stopped speaking. His mouth hung open, eyes wide, as if the words he'd prepared had suddenly lost their meaning. Because this was not supposed to happen today. This was supposed to be a simple service. A prayer for healing. A moment of hope in a town that had learned to live with disappointment. But the moment the young woman's knees buckled and the man caught her, everything changed. Her name was Amelie. She had grown up just beyond the edge of town, where the road turned to dirt and dreams turned to survival. Her mother died when she was 12. Her father drank himself into silence not long after. By 16, Amelie learned that hunger could be louder than fear. By 18, she learned that pain could live inside you and still smile for the world. She met him, Samuel, on a day when the rain refused to stop. He had been injured at the factory, sent home with nothing but a bandage and a promise that never came true. They sat under the same leaking shelter, strangers sharing the same exhaustion. He offered her half his bread. She offered him a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. They built a life out of almost nothing. A small room, one table, 2 cups, laughter when they could afford it, silence when they couldn't. Samuel worked wherever he was needed. Amelie cleaned, cooked, helped at the church. She prayed more than she spoke, because prayer was the only place she felt heard. When the sickness came, it came quietly. At first, it was just weakness, then dizziness, then nights when her breath felt too shallow, as if her lungs had forgotten their purpose. The clinic was far. The medicine was expensive. The answers were unclear. Samuel sold his jacket, then his tools, then his pride. Still, it wasn't enough. The church became their last hope. That morning, Samuel had helped Amelie walk down the aisle, every step a battle. People whispered, recognizing her. The kind girl, the quiet one, the one who never asked for anything. The priest had begun the prayer, his voice calm and steady, when Amelie's fingers tightened in Samuel's sleeve. "I'm tired," she whispered. Before he could answer, her legs gave way. Now, as he held her, fear crashed through him like a storm. He had already lost too much. He pressed his forehead to hers, his voice shaking. "Stay with me," he begged softly. "Please, just stay." Amelie finally looked at him then. Her lips curved into the smallest smile. "I tried," she whispered. "I really did." A sob rose from the crowd. Someone screamed her name. The woman in the front pew fell to her knees. The priest stepped forward, hands trembling, unsure whether to pray or simply witness what felt like a sacred goodbye. But then, something shifted. Amelie's breathing, which had been shallow and broken, slowed. Her chest rose, fell, rose again. Her fingers, cold moments before, tightened weakly around Samuel's arm that he felt it before he believed it. "She's breathing," he said, his voice barely louder than a breath. The room leaned forward as one. Amelie's eyes fluttered. Not fully open, but enough. Enough to show she was still there. The silence broke into cries, some joyful, some still afraid. The priest dropped to his knees, whispering prayers through tears. The woman in the front pew pressed her hands to her face, sobbing with relief. Samuel didn't move. He didn't let go. He simply held her, his whole body shaking now, not from fear but from the fragile, terrifying gift of hope. That day, Emily did not walk out of the church. She was carried, but she was alive. The sickness did not vanish. Life did not suddenly become easy. But something changed in that room, in that town, in the hearts of everyone who had witnessed a love that refused to surrender. And long after the candles burned out and the stained glass faded into shadow, people would remember the day when a broken woman stood at the edge of death, held together by a man who loved her, and how hope, trembling and fragile, dared to breathe again.